Oh, nice to see you. Do come in. Close the door behind you. Oh, things are getting a bit chaotic here. I'm just gazing at these shelves here. Um, I had Tennyson in mind for various reasons, and I've got lots of different editions of Tennyson's poetry, but I thought I'd show you one and read you something, which is one of the more precious volumes in this library. Have a seat. So, just have a look. This is the most fantastic Morocco binding. It's really, really beautiful, and all embossed along there. Tennyson's poems. It's quite a heavy book. So it came out which is the first edition. In fact, it was the only edition of this particularly luxurious thing. Tennyson's at the height of his powers. I mean, he's made laureate in 1850. And Tennyson had actually always tried to make sure with Moxon's, his publishers, that there were reasonably cheap editions of his poetry. He wanted ordinary people to be able to afford it and buy it, and he did that. But he was always being badgered by the publishers to do a really sumptuous edition and to get all the pre-Raphaelite artists had been sort of enjoying making paintings from his poetry, and the great publishers' project was to get them together and then get Tennyson to select, the poems he really wanted it, and then to do this thing which would be just last through the years and be a beautiful family heirloom. And they're quite rare, but I actually found this one. I think it was in a bookshop in Norwich, but before we moved here. So I thought, well, I'll indulge myself and get one, and I can pass this down to my own family. And some of the illustrations are absolutely wonderful. They're very much in the pre-Raphaelite style. And John Everett Millais is among the artists who illustrate it. Now, I thought I'd read you one of poems of Tennyson's maturity, Ulysses. Now, it's one of a series of dramatic monologues that he wrote in which he imagined himself into the part of different famous people. Tiresias, for example. Ulysses is another. But rather than picking Ulysses at the height of the adventures in the Odyssey, or, reworking a bit of Homer, he picks up on this legend that after Ulysses came home and, back to Ithaca, he was restless, and he made sure that his son Telemachus was able to inherit, and that he summoned the old seafarers and that had been with him, and they set off for one last sort of epic voyage, and then he disappeared, and there were all kinds of rumours and legends about. But Tennyson wants it to be a way of thinking about how, I think it's a poem of, Tennyson was in late middle age when he wrote it, and it's a poem about the last parts of your life, and it's about whether you keep the sense of adventure. And it has a famous final line, which probably inspired Gene Roddenberry in that Star Trek, when he says, to seek out new life, new civilizations, to boldly go where no man has gone before, although Tennyson, of course, would never have split the infinitive. But the last line, as you'll see, we come to it, to strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield. But perhaps the other most famous image from this poem is the one which is, I think, absolutely brilliant, which is about time and our experience of time and our sense of what the future is. And it's the one he says, where there's an image of an arch, that everything we've experienced so far forms an arch through which we look into the future. And if we walk through it, then, the horizon recedes. Anyway, enough about it. Here's the very beautiful illustration of the ships making ready to sail, and Tennyson saying, I'm going to live life to the full, I'm going to drain it to the lees, I'm not just going to fuss with all my strength unused, So, Ulysses. It little profits, this is all voiced for Ulysses himself, it's Ulysses speaking. It little profits that an idle king by this still hearth among these barren crags, matched with an aged wife, I mete and dole unequal laws unto a savage race that hoard and sleep and feed and know not me. I cannot rest from travel. I will drink life to the lees. All times I have enjoyed greatly, have suffered greatly, both with these that love me and alone, on shore, and when through scudding drifts the rainy Hyades vexed the dim sea. I am become a name for always roaming with a hungry heart. Much have I seen and known, cities and men and manners, climates, councils, governments, myself not least, but honoured of them all, and drunk delight of battle with my peers, far on the ringing plains of windy Troy. I am a part of all that I have met, yet all experience is an arch wherethrough gleams that untravelled world, whose margin fades for ever and for ever when I move. How dull it is to pause, to make an end, to rust unburnished, not to shine in use, as though to breathe were life. Life piled on life were all too little, and of one, to me, little remains. But every hour is saved from that eternal silence. Something more, a bringer of new things. And vile it were for some 3 suns to store and hoard myself in this grey spirit, yearning in desire to follow knowledge like a sinking star, beyond the utmost bound of human thought. This is my son, mine own Telemachus, to whom I leave the sceptre and the isle, well loved of me, discerning to fulfil this labour by slow prudence, to make mild a rugged people, and through soft degrees subdue them to the useful and the good. Most blameless is he, centred in the sphere of common duties, decent not to fail in offices of tenderness, and pay meet adoration to my household gods when I am gone. His work, he works his work, I mine. There lies the port. The vessel puffs her sail. There gloom the dark, broad seas. My mariners, souls that have toiled and wrought and thought with me, that ever with a frolic welcome took the thunder and the sunshine, and opposed free hearts, free foreheads. You and I are old. Old age hath yet his honour and his toil. Death closes all. But something ere the end, some work of noble note may yet be done, not unbecoming men that strove with gods. The lights begin to twinkle from the rocks, the long day wanes, the slow moon climbs, the deep moans round with many voices. Come, my friends, 'tis not too late to seek a newer world. Push off, and sitting well in order, smite the sounding furrows, for my purpose holds to sail beyond the sunset and the baths of all the western stars until I die. It may be that the gulfs will wash us down. It may be we shall touch the happy isles and see the great Achilles whom we knew. Though much is taken, much abides. And though we are not now, that strength which in old days moved earth and heaven, that which we are. One equal temper of heroic hearts, made weak by time and fate, but strong in will to strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield. It's a wonderful sense of the kind of rising and daring to adventure. And there's a lovely thought that perhaps he will find the happy isles and meet with great Achilles. So it's a poem worthy of preservation in such a beautiful book as this. And you know, long after I'm gone and no longer thought of, this book, this physical thing I'm holding, will still be voyaging through the world, and perhaps, you know, 3 or 4 generations hence somebody will read it and be inspired, not simply to settle down, but to carry on adventuring. Anyway, thanks for popping round, and it's good to see you and share this little treasure with you.